let's figure this out. Hopefully my computer is able to handle all this, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I mean, we can just like start talking and stuff until, you know, like some people hop in the chat and all that.
Get on my phone.
Okay,
that's fine.
All right, let me post my announcements real quick. I'll do this for you also, so you can see more of the screen and stuff, and I guess see me more, because this is like the extent of what you're gonna see, I guess. I'm assuming you're hearing me before I move on the screen. Is that true?
A little bit, yeah, actually.
Okay. That's because I usually like have it aligned, so like that it's in sync with my gameplay. Sort of that real quick. All right, is it accurate now?
Can you say one more thing?
Hello. There may be like a slight delay.
It's very slight. It's not a big deal.
It was worse earlier, right? Or could you tell?
It's about the same, honestly.
Okay.
It's not bad. Like.
Oh, I think my camera. I think it's probably off sync right now. Regardless, I don't think it's gonna matter too much, but we'll see. It may be weird for you, but I think it'll be right for the stream, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm muting your stream.
You good?
Over here.
Yeah.
I'm kind of seeing too. They're doing these ads and the placement. Yeah, it's just wild. We got so many. We got about 25 new people into the Discord. 96.
I haven't been checking on that, so that's good to hear.
Yeah, I really got to do some work on that when I get home. Make them feel welcome and all that, and we need to. I need to get to work on that, obviously, but.
Alright, we'll be getting started in just a second.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't do this backstage, because you wouldn't have been able to hear me, and I wouldn't have been able to hear you.
Yeah.
Although it would have been kind of cool to have some people just stop by your stream, but...
Yeah. Maybe one day when we're in the big leagues, right?
Hey, listen, they're like the head producer is like, dude, I'm so down, like, come back, like... It's phenomenal. Like, it's literally great. And I know a few of them, too. If one of them's from Vegas. I know some of Gimmer's friends, actually. Like, so... Then some of them did some tournament mode stuff back in the day. So it's kind of a small world, honestly. You're really surprised.
Totally.
I just didn't expect this to happen this soon. Like, I'm thinking,
yeah,
like...
I mean, I've gone... Sorry, I've gone to, like, some of the events and stuff before, but it's like... Well, I'm just, like, you know, a participant or spectator and all that, in my experiences when I do it. So, this is pretty cool, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, to actually have, like, an official event and all that.
Yeah, this is a little bit weird, too. Just because of the dynamic of the two tournaments and, like, playing in one, running 1-2 as I was playing it, and casting the other. So this probably wouldn't happen ever again, but it was cool, you know?
I mean, if you can do it, like, this time, you might as well take advantage of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright. So, for the people hopping into the stream, we're going to be starting officially in a little bit. For now, we're just kind of, you know, passing the time by, talking about the experience, but we'll officially get into the pod in a little bit. Knight's a lot louder than Rook. Okay, 1 second. Let's figure this out.
By the way, Adam, I did
I can
talk
turn myself
about that.
up a little.
I know I've been really bad on DMs lately, but I did talk to them about that. I mean, who knows? Maybe that could be a venue down the road, but Texas is in my top 3 for sure. I'll explain that later.
Alright, I'm turning Discord down a little bit. Can you say something again? Let me know if it's a little better, guys.
Something again?
Yeah, just like talking your normal voice and all that. Dylan also
I kind of lost my voice, so this is like kind of it. I mean,
yeah,
it's been a wild few days to say the least. Like a lot of work.
Yeah,
I put in maybe 13 hours of the last 2 days.
I mean, it's gotta be like fun work though, right?
Yeah, but it's rewarding. You know, like it's rewarding. So you can't complain.
Yeah, got it. All right, I'm just gonna pull my mic down, like right underneath my mouth and all that, so maybe it's a little bit better. I turned my audio pretty much to max, I think. It's partially tin can travel mic.
I'm on my laptop mic. I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't planning on this.
Yeah, I think if like I guess I could go on Discord and take him down a little bit. I don't know. Let's see here. Okay, I do have some control here. All right, let's turn you down to here. Say something for me.
I like to play Mario Kart.
Okay, now you're very quiet.
Oh, no.
Okay, let's turn you up just a little again. Go a little bit in the mix. I think that will probably be good now. We can get started in just a second, though.
Cool.
So, okay. I guess before we officially get started or anything, I still want to like offer like a few more minutes and stuff before, you know, things officially get rolling. See, we got about 20 people in. Kind of want to break the 20 barrier and all of that, but hey, if y'all are out there and have any friends that may be introduced in the LAN thing whatsoever, I don't know if like Knight would be able to maybe like post it again, like the general chat and like the USMK community server. That may be
on that real quick.
Strategy.
1 second.
Yeah, let's do that. Because this is like actually relevant information, you know.
Yeah, I'm doing Twitter, and then I'm gonna get to that next.
All right, yeah, let's do it. I think that may be a good way to kind of, you know, get more eyes on what's happening right now, and then we can officially get started in a little bit.
Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit behind. DD's set was wild, and I was kind of slightly held captive against my will by someone who will not be named, but is cool.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
can't be leaking the details.
Yeah, one of the casters. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Hold on 1 second.
Also, for the people here already, is my microphone like with my camera right now? I don't know for certain, so relying on you all to figure that out.
You want me to do the at everyone rookie?
Dude, I don't know if we should do the at everyone.
Okay, I'll just
that one. That may be a little too selfish. How often do you use the at everyone?
Lately, we've been doing it like bi-weekly, but not really beyond that. Yeah. And we just kind of...
You always do like here or something.
I don't think it's necessary, but I'm going to post it right now.
Sure. I'm not going to be checking and all of that, but...
Going live on Rookie's Twitch channel for a podcast.
And if you all want to pass the word to some friends and all of that, that's appreciated as well. Get started in just a minute, though. Mic is a little off, not rumbling the... It's slight. Understood.
I apologize
let's see if I can...
Mike. I can't help it.
No, I think he's talking about me. Greg, what's up? How are we doing? Got a follow. Let's take a look at that. Tipo Ryu, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be talking MomoCon in just a minute. So we'll figure that out in just a second.
We might be joined by Roy soon. I don't know. Or maybe... Some of the
you'll have to tell everybody.
There is literally a 10% chance that Meister might walk through my door. By the way, later. I don't know.
Meister, you say?
Yeah, because he hangs out with them.
Yeah, the Game and Watch player.
Yeah, dude, him and DD like were going hard like a second ago. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. So Smash Top, I used to be much more focused on, you know, Smash and all of that. Is the top 8 like later today, or
right now?
Is it like already?
It's
okay,
going
it's right now.
2 hours.
Understood. Do you know who's on? Do you know who's in winners and all of that, or?
I was trying to pull that up, but
I've been following the bracket.
I'm pretty
really
sure
much.
lights popping off. I saw Tweak there, DeBuzz, a guy who I recognize, but I don't know his name. I'll know it in a second. I think he's also on Moist. I'm pulling it up now.
All right. I think about 30 more seconds or so, I'm going to kind of get into the initial questions and, you know, officially start and all of that. So once we get that going, we can start talking about, you know, what comes next and all of that, how the event went. And I think a little bit of it's going to be me just, you know, kind of interviewing you on the process and all of that. But we'll see what happens, I guess.
Sounds good.
So let me know when you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Yeah.
All right. Let us begin then. So, as you all may know, MomoCon was this weekend. This is our first, big tournament, I guess, that had Mario Kart 8 involved there. I know there's been side events on occasion. I know, like at SmashCon a few years ago, I was able to do a side event while I was there. But this was a little bit different. This was like it's showing up on the Smash GG or Start GG page. We're seeing our very own community members on the side of the page there, winning the tournament. I saw the Jackson Casper. Congratulations to them. And 96 entrants, I believe, for singles.
Yeah, and we had to cap that. It could have been a lot higher, but for easy math, we capped it.
Yeah, so big moves recently for the MK community, and I'm joined here with Knight today, who was a big part in putting this all together. And he's going to tell you a little bit about the experience up there, the future of the LAN scene, and how we can continue to grow. And there's some good news, I think, that will be shared. But Knight, first off, tell me about the experience. How was everything?
Yeah, so I think kind of just off the introduction, I think a good thing to kind of compare this to is Genesis. So Genesis 7 was kind of a quasi side event, but also, a bigger Mario Kart event. It wasn't at the scale that this was. 121 entrants back in 2020, January, right before COVID. And what was interesting about that, the Genesis type of an event is it's predominantly more for Smash grinders with side events there. So some cons are like that. Now, what's interesting going immediately back into MomoCon is this is a 20,000 person convention with people of all ages coming. And that was something that we kind of had to adapt to as we were running the FFA, because we had so many literally brand new people. They didn't know how to connect their controller. They didn't know how to do things. And we were literally educating them. And I really do credit like a lot of the community for helping out there. I mean, I even saw Pidgey, riding my Pidgey from PH, giving a guy lessons on how to do certain things, and that guy made it out of round one, and it was hype, I think he died a little bit later, but it was really cool to see stuff like that happening. Same with Princess Brat. I mean, everyone kind of contributed a little bit differently. So essentially, just kind of boiling down this question, I didn't realize we were a sponsor of the entire convention. To be fair, we didn't pay anything for this. We just kind of showed up, and we're going to help grow the scene. I think what's interesting for us selfishly is we got to see the whole back end, how it runs. And UGL actually runs the entire gaming side of the convention, not just like a bracket. So the affiliate partnership that we've had with them, like it put it in a face value and perspective for me that this is like we kind of struck gold and we kind of hit the big time, and they're giving us the freedom to run events how we want it. But overall, no, very good. I mean, we ran 2 tournaments, and I'll probably get into more detail about it in a second, but they want us to come back, and there's ultimately going to be more tournaments down the road. Will be streamed, and even more beyond that, you never know what else is going to pop up. Tournament series, stuff like that. So there's stuff I wish I can share. I can tell you, though, that you want a nugget. There are going to be lots of smaller events we're going to push all the time. Don't get me wrong. Plenty of lanes you can travel to. A lot in Florida. We are probably going to push a big one that we get everyone out to every 4 to 6 months. And I can say right now, New York could be in the running. It's not approved yet, but we'll know in a few months. That's at the Javits Center. That is the big leagues. That is the tournament that I would always tell MKC, oh, you know what? You make it when you get to the Javits Center. That's going to bring a high quality amount of players in. And that could be at a general con, so the benefit to that is it's going to be a very big uncapped tournament if it comes through. But more details on that later, just cross your fingers. And then worst case scenario, if that doesn't come through, we're still going to promote this one at the end of the year, Matsuri-Con in Orlando, Florida. We have a big base of players in Orlando, Florida, and a lot of people can get to Florida easily. And I think the one thing that I'll just say is we can't really sleep on the Southeast. Not to go into the whole region debate, obviously New York has a lot of potential. The Northeast, Vegas kind of dominates the West. Texas has a base. Florida has a base. The really cool thing that we saw today, or this week, was how many players were willing to travel to the Southeast because it was easily accessible for basically every region. I know Brat said that she flew an hour and a half. I think it was a few hours for Casper. It was about 3 hours and change for us. If we had a smooth flight, which we didn't, but you get.
I remember watching the castle, but you mentioned that your plane got struck by lightning.
Yeah, so I was on the plane with Pidgey. We had a fuel leak. We showed up 2 hours late, and our plane had to take 2 dips in the middle of the year. And I've been on like, if you're afraid of flying, you might want to turn this off. But like, I've been on some crazy flights. This didn't really crack my top 5, but we had to go down
Oh, you
twice.
gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like literally like as you know the turbulence hit, which is natural. Pidgey fell asleep, right? And he's sitting on the aisle. Yeah, and literally,
Brad, we're not doing that.
there's like there's
We're
this
not
yellow
doing this.
spark over the wing, right? We're like right on the wing, and I'm just thinking to myself, and I felt fine because I fly a lot, I travel a lot, kind of why.
Yeah, so this is just normal for you.
Yeah, and I did think to myself because we were going down, and I was like, how on brand would it be if I died due to a lightning strike on a wing of Mario Kart convention? And here we are. So we're good.
Good to hear that everything is safe and all of that. But anyways, I guess thing I was gonna ask kind of slipped my mind, so we can just go to something else. But it's just like, how was it, working with a staff team that isn't really part of the community itself, but its own separate thing? How was how did everything gel together? Did everything work with them and all that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So essentially, there are well, they're all part of the same team. Everyone's on the same team. But the way I kind of break it down is you have like the Dark King, UGL, and their group, and then you also have the production group. So I think you got to answer it 2 ways. I mean, UGL gave me the freedom to see the tournament how I wanted to, and I'll be honest, I did consult 4 different people. Seedings were pretty much good. We had Mega from Allied doing the land side of it. We had Brandon, and we had JP Givener. So we kind of had all these collective minds come in, and where do we put people? And I kind of took their feedback, and then I kind of made it my own. But honestly, Smash seedings don't really play a factor too much. That's a whole nother story for a different day. And clearly, it worked out for both tournaments. I mean, the 2v2, I was a little bit more nervous for. That was a phenomenal ending. Can totally talk about that. Going back to staff, though, I think the biggest thing beyond just the TOs was the production side. Now, when you factor in a MKC cast with stream hosts, it's this very grassroots volunteer type of a thing. I mean, these guys travel, weeks out of the year. They don't see their families, right? They're on tour. I'm used to the touring schedule. That's why I'm not really a top player in Mario Kart, because I used to do this for a living. And they picked up things so quick, and I don't even know the 2 producers for the 2v2 by name. They were super cool. We had an audio issue at the very beginning, and I'm glad that Brat and I spoke up because it would have killed the stream. But they fixed it. We got it together, and literally they kind of they had a slow start. They did have a little bit of an audio issue because they just didn't know what the right breakdown was, and maybe a few questions could be asked in the first 35 minutes of the stream. But beyond that, though, I mean, they were updating the points right. They had names correct. It was a little bit difficult with the 2v2 format, I think, to visualize everything to a degree with who is who. But the visuals and all of that were phenomenal. And that's something that went very well for the first time.
So I guess next question then is just like, what could be improved? And before and after that, we're going to get into a little bit the good news, I guess, the positive takeaways, if you will. What we're really going to be what the community should be looking forward to in the future, what's exciting, and I think you have a lot of good news to share.
Yeah,
so we'll get into that in just a little bit. Again, also just a quick break. Thank you, Tensku. I think that's how you pronounce it. I was on your stream last night. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you for the follow. Also,
Tensku player. Yep.
All right. Anyway, let's get into what could have gone better.
I'll be honest. I mean, the tournament ran so well. Everyone had a lot of fun. I think this is what could have happened in another universe. The TO staff they're a group of volunteers. They're very passionate. Let's be honest. I mean, running a Mario Kart tournament is so specialized. And they helped out at the beginning. They were setting everything up. They knew the technical stuff. But it was going to probably drag if they were running it. So Danny Fathom, being Danny Fathom, loud and passionate as he is, he's like, hey, I want to take control. I want to put in the work, and I want to run the tournament. And I'm like,
So this is just like this is like an on the spot development, is what you're saying.
This happened basically 20 to 30 minutes before, and honestly,
yeah, because I've had my experiences where I just watch like people and like they're gonna run a tournament pretty much, and this is like actually the reason why I got back in staff. I like initially quit like before MKA came out. I was like, I need to help. I literally need to help. This could be so much better. So I'm assuming that Danny, may have kind of felt something similar. It's like, we can make this work. We can make this run more efficiently. You said that there was a lot that came out of this, though. So tell us more about crazy. Danny.
So looking back at Genesis, I mean, Bear is a beast. Bear ran that thing phenomenally. I helped out a little bit. His girlfriend helped out a little bit. Knives. So I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like a head TO, but I'm more of a jack of all trades. I've run the big Mazer events on MKC, multiple thousands of players. So, but LAN it's different. And so what happened with MomoCon is the first round took the first qualifier essentially, because we had one setup. By the way, that's not going to be a problem for future years. It was more of a proof of concept year. So that was another thing. Our format, we kind of forced it as a proof of concept for future years. So I'll explain that in a minute. But essentially what happened was, it took us about 50 minutes to get through the first qual of 4 races. And that's mainly because when you're at one of these anime conventions, you have players of all different ages. Nobody really brought their wire. Literally myself and I think Onion and maybe Pidgey brought their wire to wire people into their switches because we had connecting issues. And the problem is you got to get all 12 players ready before you can move on. So I think we learned a lot from that. I think we learned, okay, if a player no-shows, we're going to have to disconnect them from the LAN lobby. We had to do that. So we kind of have a system now of, okay, we need about 2 people per setup or per 12 setups to really get things going. And I think we got more efficient with that as the tournament went on. But it basically, after the first qualifier went flawless, I think some people were really waiting around 8 quals, and we kind of were conservative and said, hey, you can come back in about 2 hours. But yeah, disconnecting pro controllers was a nightmare, Brat. You're right.
That's a thing. That's a thing from the Smash tournaments too.
Yeah, and then
they got all the GameCube controllers though.
And Smash players will come in thinking there's not a tournament with setups. That's just going to be normal stuff that's going to happen. But basically, what ended up happening is we kind of had a system towards the end where it was a combination of Danny and then Pidgey and I supporting him. And then, we were running things so smooth. And I really want to thank everybody for stepping up. And also, too, to Princess Brat, she ended up making Vistaprint cards with QR codes for players to join the Discord.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that came up huge. We got 25 new members, he said.
Yeah, it was about I'd say around 15 to 20, something like that.
Yeah, I remember my comment now from earlier, by the way. I'm just going to interject real quick.
Go for it.
It's because you're talking about the USMK LAN logo and all of that. I just remember I saw this viral meme that came up from the tournament this weekend of some dude in an Among Us costume playing a Smash set and all of that. And at first I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then my second thought was like, oh, that's our logo. Look, there I am. It's like the SpongeBob episode where he's in the commercial and the corner of his head sticking out or something like that. I completely forgot a second that there was quite literally a gigantic human-sized Among Us on screen. And that was kind of funny for me.
Yeah, no, I thought it was funny apparently too from what my roommate was telling me is when he went to fist bump, he actually punched through the suit.
Yep. I saw that.
I need to get a video of that because I haven't seen it. But yeah, I mean, I think the tournament. So on one setup, we can't run that tournament the way we did. We ran it in 7 hours on the dot. It was long, but now if we can get to 2 setups, which I think is the best we can do for bandwidth. And
by 2 setups, you mean 24, 24. Technically.
Because 36
just 2 rooms.
Here's the deal, and Danny was talking about this right too. 36 is going to be too many, especially with people not knowing what to do with disconnected controllers and all that. Really, 24 is manageable, and it will cut the tournament in half. So it's going to be a 3.5 to 4 hour tournament for 96 players with top 6 moving on. So, but we did have a lot of players that really appreciated that we changed the rules before, and we shortened quarterfinals from 6 to 4 races, but we added 2 races on to semifinals, so semis went from 6 to 8. And then also the finals went from 8 to 12. And I like that, actually.
And that's still probably didn't even cut, because there's more quarters rooms, that probably didn't even add time in the end, even though you did that to 2
Yeah, we
cut
it down to, we were done with quarterfinals around 6-ish. And the tournament started at 1. So, yeah. It worked out really well. I mean, it was a little long, and obviously, like, there were some players that really did want to watch. We had about 50 to 60 players. I saw DeBuzz peek in. I saw Louis and Sen peek in. And a lot of people stayed and they watched, and they were really patient. And a lot of these players,
You said you had like 50 people in the crowd.
Yeah, and
was this just like people that were playing, or people that stopped by?
The 2v2 was a little bit different. It kind of fluctuated, but specifically for the FFA though,
these lands are more busy on Saturdays anyway.
So and people were really patient. I think we could do a better job with like conservative timing and maybe adjusting that, but we just didn't want to, guarantee times. But I kind of talked with them about that, but. To be honest, though, I mean, we still had people. I mean, we still had some drops here and there. That's natural with the land, but we had a lot of people in the 7th and 8th qualifier still being there. We had about 9 or 10 out of the 12 in both of those last two. So what more can you ask for?
Mm-hmm. All right, before we hop on to the next topic, Pidgey, also thank you for the follow. Let's get into, the good news. The exciting stuff for the people that weren't there. That, maybe some people hopped on and they're like not as worried about like the technical details or anything. But the good news that you've come away from the tournament here is that you believe that we're going to be working with these guys more.
We're going to be working with them a lot more. There could be some stuff on the horizon even in July in Washington, D.C. Danny's going to be, Danny, if you just tuned in, he's getting a job part-time as a TO on the road now. And he's going to be running the Washington, D.C. tournament at Otakon. We'll probably get a confirmation if that'll be streamed or anything like that. But there are really big tournaments that need to get approved that are in the works. And I'm of the belief, and I know Rookie and I talked about this, that we're going to be promoting, I'm going to be promoting every tournament that's being run. But we got to, as a community, pick the ones that we know that we can get big groups out to. So I really want to look at, and this is in no particular order, but aside from Vegas, we need to look at Orlando, Florida. We need to look at Austin or Houston, Texas. And we need to look at New York. New York, I think, is a possibility now. And that's going to be something that the East Coast is going to be incredibly happy about. So fingers crossed, there isn't anything there yet, but I'm really hoping that there will be soon because it would be at the Javits Center. And if you're familiar with your conventions, it's one of the biggest convention halls in like the world. And it's going to be wild if we can get a tournament in there. So we got a lot of
and let's be realistic here
coming and all that.
Yeah, and to be realistic, one of the goals that you would technically like to have at the end of the day is just like every place can have a weekly, but until you get people that are going to show up on a weekly basis, which is not going to be everyone, you kind of got to ease things in a little bit, and that kind of goes at the national scale with travel expenses and all that too. And the thing is, it's like the bigger this thing grows, the less, like the main community is going to have to feel like they have to go to everything. They can go to things that are, or choose things that are more convenient for them and all of that. But right now we're kind of like in the phase where it's like, okay, we're up and coming, but realistically speaking, like we need all the big, like all the big names to go out to these events so people, will take us seriously at first also. And I think the good news is that there's a lot of positive takeaways from MomoCon already. And that was with like a fraction of the community going to begin with. So just imagine what's going to happen, if we, get some events where, maybe double or triple the amount of community members are there. It's going to be more people that are going to, kind of take the event seriously. There's going to be more competition in the finals and all of that. It's going to be intense and heated.
Yeah, and I think too, like when it comes to the LAN community, I mean, Mario Kart Central and the online community essentially is a significant piece of that. But what's crazy is like now putting into perspective Georgia, like you have a few local players here, like you have a player from Florida who's like 44, Mickey Wins, the Dad Gaming League that Sneaks' dad is a part of. They're big supporters of this. They want to be on board and support us too. Like there were a few other local.
Isn't Jax a local player also?
Jax is a local player as well. Great meeting him. And honestly, too, I mean, there were also a lot of influencers. Like Kyoya was there. He's one of the USMK reps. He was just there for Saturday. and he mentioned, "Hey, do you know that Nintendo Capri Sun's in this qualifier?" And I'm like, "Who is that?" Shows me, pulls up his YouTube, 400,000 followers, and that guy, he must have been in his late 60s, early 70s. Like we had a few older players, and they said they had a blast. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he tweeted that out. You can look at the USMK Twitter, and it's just exciting to see. One of the craziest moments was there was this older lady. She must have been north of 70, and she says, "Excuse me, I got 11th. Do I get to move on to the next round?" And I just was like, man, like in my like head, I was like, oh, this is so wholesome. So I was, polite with her, said thank you for coming and all that. But everyone really had a good time, and for a lot of those people, it was their first tournament. So what was really cool about it,
realistically speaking, here is like the benefit that we have is that this game is like, I would say, more friendly to beginners than really other games, especially FGC games. FGC games, you're always going to have that like very competitive one-on-one, kind of setting that a lot of competitive players like. But I think what is the benefit for our game is that there's going to be, people that feel more welcomed in a 12-player environment where you're not just like one-on-oneing somebody who may be grossly better than you. And it's easier to pick up and feel, I guess, included in. And I think that's kind of what we have to, keep in mind sometimes, because I'm assuming a lot of the people that were here, attending and all that kind of stuff, aren't going to be the type of people that would just, make an account on MKC without like really understanding like what goes into everything here. It's like they just kind of want to play something for fun, and then sometimes you lead them to water and they drink the water. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, it's not going to be like, oh yeah, sign up for this site and like figure this out. It's like, no, I'm at this thing right now. This thing's here. This thing's cool. Now I'm more interested in it.
Yeah, and what was really cool, just going off of that point, and I think the point that Jet's making in the chat, I think there were about 8 MKC players in there. But you got to also factor in that Kyoya, Brat, there were a few others, Sinji as well. Like he's a local winner in Brooklyn. So there are so many other players that are not just on the online scene, but part of the LAN scene that just aren't MKC based. And then there's 2 others. You got your direct casual players, people coming in like not off the street, but you get what I mean, up at the con, just ready to play. And then you do have your kind of your quasi, like, I don't know how to describe it, your quasi crossover grinders. You have these like influencers from YouTube that know the game a little bit better. You have your Smash players like Louis Money and Send had an incredible.
I was surprised
Friday
to
run.
see them participate.
Yeah, Louis Money
and
Send, they won doubles in Smash in between going back and forth with Mario Kart, and they could have gone all the way if Jax and Casper just didn't end their run, And they had an incredible run. It just goes to show you, partnership, communication, all that. But I mean, the Smash crossover is huge. We saw it with Sinji in the FFA, and I think the casuals as well had a great time. And we also just got to do a really good job of that second category of getting the players that are a little bit beyond casual, that like to play in LANs regularly, that aren't on MKC, and getting them involved and getting their opinion, which is kind of why USMK is such a good project right now.
So what do you think is the future here? Like, do you want to do you want to focus on, kind of like attaching ourselves to, more events and cons where there's going to be people that are there already? Or do you want to, consider, maybe doing something that's more of like our own thing in the future where it's, strictly dedicated to the MK events per se?
Yeah, realistically,
or maybe a mix of both.
Yeah, I think we have to focus on the low-hanging fruit of being with Smash, being side by side, or even just complimenting them, and really kind of raising some awareness at these cons, and getting some of these players to come in that haven't that might want to try a game or have played Mario Kart before. That's our biggest opportunity. The logistics behind running your own event is incredibly difficult. It's not impossible, but I do think that even some of these organizations, if we prove that we have the numbers, can work with us to make some like more customizable types of events. But I think right now what our focus is, at least for the next year, is having as many conventions as possible, kind of having this like offering there, but also trying to brainstorm like some key events where we could get a lot of players out to, once every quarter or a couple times a year. So I think the next one, what you're probably looking at, is more closer to the end of the year. If we can get people out to DC, that would be great. But realistically, trying to get Orlando or maybe in New York on the board towards the end of the year would be huge.
Understood. All right. So the thing I want to ask about also, as you know, is the event. I guess it makes a lot of sense, to kind of like attach ourselves to these pre-existing projects, like the Momocons and all that kind of stuff. And I'm guessing the con thing is like a little bit more of a focus than like the dedicated Smash tournaments, if I had to guess. Right.
What do you mean by that?
So like, Momocon, it's like not just like a Smash tournament.
Oh yeah,
just like a big
that's
Smash
one of
tournament
many
that's
things,
there.
right? That they
yeah,
and that's what makes it such a big turnout for sure.
Mm-hmm. So what are I guess what are the remaining things throughout the year that you think would be best to I guess try to get into and all of that? And with UGL, who have kind of trusted us in that sense, what exactly is I guess they're more heavily involved with Momocon. Are they going to have like an ability, get us to more places?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, they run all of the big events with VG Bootcamp. I'm trying to work with Gimmer's team to see maybe down the road if VG Bootcamp can be the streaming source versus UGL now, and kind of run and partner with VG Bootcamp and UGL there. That way we're going to be getting thousands of viewers roughly for every stream. I mean, that's going to be something we're working towards.
So Gimmer was like watching this, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
like, he was aware of it.
Yeah, I don't think he was necessarily like directly watching the tournament.
Yeah,
but, we're all backstage, cool. and I kind of ran back up here to do this, but it was cool. I mean, I was chatting with EE. I didn't get to really chat with Gimmer because DD was just cracked, and honestly, he deserved to be the center of attention. But like, I'm just really surprised too that like UGL, and then to be fair, it's also because Smash is just down to a science at this point, and they have consultants running it. But they put so much attention on Mario Kart, and like myself, Pidgey, Brat, Vonnie, it was crazy. And like, I know Brat, you're in chat, you probably have like all the nice things to say about Leo and Dark King and like, because you've met him twice now at PAX and some of the other cons. But yeah, they're super excited to work with us. Like, they see the potential in it. Everyone had a great time, and I do want to say too, I know that you guys saw the gameplay on Friday, but everybody that was on MKC and even Killia, Brat too, I mean, we had a local player there that made the finals out of my round. They all played above their weight class. Like, the scores didn't show it, but I talked with Jax, Casper, and a lot of them after, and that was one of the most interesting LAN lobbies I think that you'd find. And it might just be because we all came from diverse regions and we weren't used to our play styles versus, a New York tournament, which is guaranteed to be pretty skilled. But, I also, too, was actually talking to the convention chairs while I was playing in the finals, showing them how I would handle the situations. And I kind of got griefed at the end by doing that, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I mean, I pulled 12 shots in 20 races, not to, like, go into my performance a little bit, but Casper had a great run. I think Danny finished 20 points behind. Nebula, who was a bronze in lounge, popped off and scored north of 103rd. Great mid-division player, so great to meet him. And everyone really played incredibly well. It could have been a lot more of an imbalance, but yeah, Casper did win at the end of the day. He deserved it. He was the most skilled player, and he had a great run. But I think people really challenged him. And it was really exciting, and it was also exciting on the 2v2. You saw Louis Money and Sen, one of the best chemistry duos in Smash, up against Casper and Jax. And I talked to both of them on the side, and like, they didn't realize what they were getting into. And the fact that they even had that incredible run was great. The sneaks. 805.
They have anything positive to say about it? I guess
they liked it.
I'm curious.
They liked it. But we had the father-son battle on one
if it's
side.
So if it's at like future events, like, you think they're gonna sign up again, or
absolutely.
You think it's just like a one-off?
Yeah, absolutely. We got some YouTubers. We got like some of them, Stingy, and
I mean, is there anybody that would want to like make some videos and stuff and all of that? So like kind of like talk about like, hey, this is an up and coming thing. 5 years
gonna
into
be
this
making
game.
videos too. We could have a documentary in the works. We could be
A documentary, you say?
Yeah, people are trying.
Let's not gloss over that. Let's get into this a little bit. Let's dive a little deeper.
We
Tell
might
us what
even
you
see
know.
Mango somewhere if we can get to them. But I think there's things that are a lot more real now. Things that,
The professional Mario Kart streamer Mango, yes.
Yeah. Things that could have been 3 to 5 years out are now 6 to 1 year out. Let's just put it that way. Like things are very real now, and what you're going to see from USMK is you're going to see Danny being like a TO IRL. He's going to have a new role. Princess Brat's probably going to have a new role. We're going to have kind of and I'm going to work with you on this, Rookie, but like a media role. We're going to be pretty selective with that because that's going to make or break the entire project.
So are they going to be like, trying to get us out to more stuff like on their own and all that? Or like, I'm curious. You like talk about like people having specific roles and all that. What comes with that?
Well, I'm speaking strictly in the context of like the USMK server because we have TO roles, all of that. It's more some general things, but I mean, when you're talking about what I envision that kind of applies to IRL, I mean, bringing in an extra admin or a rep to kind of promote different things in the server, that's one thing. But like if you're talking about what Danny did and now is going to be a part-time touring TO, like that's real. So if he has the yellow tournament organizer role, I mean, he's going to be the one you're talking to about lots of things. And I think another thing we're going to have to do, and I talked to a lot of players about this and what their philosophy was, and I consulted Mega, Brandon, and Slater, JP Givener, is we're going to need like a panel, I think, initially to seed. And I think Mega's got a great idea on stats going forward. I don't think, like, PR we're still far away from, I think. But we do need to start thinking of how we're going to look at the data to seed tournament.
Well, there's nothing wrong with getting stats like accumulated and all that. It's just like what exactly are we going to take away from the what are we going to take away from the data yet? It's like, are our sample sizes proper yet? Has there been enough mixture and all that?
That's thing.
The kind of questions that have to be asked about this. And this is, I know online's a different animal than offline and all that, but I would say that that's probably where the starting point is likely going to be, just because we are used to playing against each other. It's just kind of an online thing.
Yeah, so my takeaway after talking to probably about a dozen people on this is I slightly disagree. I think you got to go 50-50. I think you got to go 50 on LAN data, if there is any, but also too, you got to look at online. You can't disregard it. You got to look at lounge, you got to look at head-to-head, you got to look at other tournaments, and then you can kind of do a combination of data and skill. And you got to look at LAN first, but you can also factor in online. And I think with the way the seedings went, it was extremely competitive in both tournaments. Especially too, the 2v2 had to be right because it was a bracket. And if there was an imbalance, you would have noticed it. And honestly, there was a little bit of an issue because the top...
I mean, part of the fun of these tournaments is also just like upsets happening.
Exactly.
It's not necessary. It's not... I think this is like a thing that like MKU staff specifically kind of, gets a little... too worried about it. It's like, it's okay to be wrong. Like, this is why we play the tournaments, because if everything was to go according to seed, like, we might as well just be handing the crown to the people before the event starts. So
exactly,
I wouldn't get too wrapped up on it, but you do want fair competition.
I'm not, and you know who that upset was? Is it was Louis Money and Sen, because what ended up happening is with the 2v2, we did have some teams with some logistical issues. Victini, who's a former MKC player, his family got COVID, so his team kind of scrapped. Onion and Jojo, they had some travel logistic issues, both of them. So what we try to do is try to merge the player not affected on that one team to play with Onion, and then even that kind of fell through. So when we did that, we made the change. It actually affected the seeding, but they had to get DQ'd. But ultimately, what ended up happening was it moved Louis Money and Send up a slot, and they ended up upsetting the girl who teamed with Mickey Wins, one of the Dad Gaming guys that was runner-up to Awesome Michael in 13 in the Atlanta 2v2 last year. So they had a really big upset there, and then that's when they went on to face Jackson Casper. So really cool learning there.
Let me get into something really quick also. We'll hold the thought. Jaden, thank you for the follow. We're not doing viewer games today. We're just kind of talking, but appreciate the interest in all that. Do viewer games occasionally. We're more of a we mainly do organized competitions such as Lounge on this channel and all of that. So if you're looking to get into a game right now, I would probably recommend another channel right now. We're just kind of, talking about, the future of like Mario Kart tournaments in the US that are going to be popping up soon. So welcome to the channel and all that. Thanks for the follow. But as far as today, I don't think we're going to be getting into any games and all of that. Just have the Switch on in the background. Oh, and Danny also, thanks for the follow. And I'll have you know that Knight very much did flex for you. Talk about you playing out of your mind, getting the nice silver medal there.
Yeah, so, Danny and I had like a literal opium rush. I mean, the semifinals, I think Danny got first, I got third. It was insane, and I wish I was a little bit more focused in the finals personally, but dude, I'll tell you what, I was playing so well. If I didn't get 3 last places, I would have been top 4. But it was crazy.
It can happen.
One shock. Every time I moved up to the front, I didn't even see Casper. Well, sometimes he was just too far ahead. But the other times I just saw Danny, and I was so confused. But Danny, you did a great job this weekend.
I kind of want to ask also, it's like, Smash GG, or, now it's Start GG, not always the best platform for these MK tournaments. Do you think that can be changed anytime soon? Just like on a personal hunch and all that, like the more that we build relationships and have like a presence at, big events.
Yeah, well, it's funny. So the politically correct answer here would be, Sumo is or not Sumo, but Metafy is the sponsor of the primary one of MomoCon. So they're looking to switch to Sumo. And it's funny because what I heard from Dark King Leo, who's the head of literally the entire esports side of MomoCon, is the same thing that Rookie's been saying for like the past 2 years. We need points values in Smash. We need to have.
It's not even that alone. It's just like you have to go to the standings page to even figure out who advanced and all that right now.
Yeah,
I don't think that there's like if you click on a pool and stuff, it should not be just an empty data page, is what I'm saying here.
Yeah,
and that makes it like a little bit more difficult to follow along. I don't know who it was. I think it may have been Jet. He's like,
Jet.
I don't know if like I'm just bad at like reading brackets and stuff, but like, what am I supposed to take away? And I remember thinking, it's like, no, you aren't bad at reading it. It's just there's nothing on this page, and you have to go to standings to figure out who advanced, and there wasn't even scores on the standings and all that. So, you would like a better system in terms of like representing what actually happened at the events is what I'm kind of alluding to here.
Yeah. So I don't want to get too technical in this Master G side of things because it doesn't matter. I mean, looking back with how we ran with 96 players, we could have done their literal Soul Mario Kart format, which is literally so one-dimensional. It's top 6, move on. What we ended up having to do, since the Smash GG page is all built out, is just what's called a custom schedule. So you put your people in 12 groups, and then you just rank them who won. So it made it easier to move the rounds on. But yeah, if you're a spectator just looking in and trying to figure out what's going on, I'll admit it leaves a lot to be desired.
Understandable. So that's another thing that I think can probably be improved in the future, of course.
Hopefully Sumo does the job.
Yeah, we'll see. And I think, it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but, hey, if Sumo exists, like, competition's good, typically.
Yeah.
It makes for better features and all of that. So, let's talk really briefly about, like, the stream and all that. Because we had it on day one, like, there were the 4 commentators that we locked up before the event. Mankler, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, we had 3 days to do that, by the way. I had 3 days to make a team. So,
first day, we have a dedicated casting team for the 2v2. The next day, there's no stream. Is it mainly just because, the difficulty with the 12 setups, and is this something that you expect will be improved at, future events of UGL and all of them?
It's a combination of a few things. One, it's the 12 setups, combination of the capture cards, wiring that the production team needs. And something you also got to keep in mind, too, is that we got to stay in our lane now because we're still second to Smash. And with Smash top 64, top 8...
May not even be second at this point. I know there's a lot of other stuff, but hey, you'd like to.
Yeah,
get
I mean,
up
we're
right?
we're so we gotta. So there's a little bit of compromise and all that stuff. So that's what it came down to. But they wanted the proof of concept this year. I'm glad we kind of ran a more MKCS type of a format with the 8 race semis, 12 race final. It did go long, but if we can get that extra 12 setups, I mean, we have a lot of flexibility. I don't think we can really, to be honest, Didn't get anything like a 6v6 in the cards just yet for about a year or so. We got to work on
No,
the.
I don't think that's something we should worry about right now.
But the meta right now, which I will tell you is it's going to be like a 2v2 Mogi, and then an FFA split over 2 days. Something to that effect, like in a general level. So it's really exciting. And you're going to be seeing, some big prize pools. I mean, we had close to $3,500 on the line. I mean, money wasn't really the big primary focus, but I mean, crap, you look at Casper, that adds up pretty quick. A lot of players made over triple digits this weekend, and it kind of paid for their trip. So it's really just exciting to see just all around kind of how it went down.
Yeah, and here's the next thing that I think is a little bit exciting to talk about. You were talking about like working with VGBC and like even using that Twitch sometimes.
Yep.
Here's the thing, like the good news is that this was still very like early concept.
Yes.
Proof of concept kind
of
tournament.
This was very early.
And the returns seem to be good right now, and that should make everybody ecstatic, really, because what this means is that like we're already at the point where it's seen as like a tolerable, like this is like a fine experience. This is solid enough that we want you back. But what's really fun to think about is we have not given them probably half of our potential.
Oh, we're just the tip of the iceberg for sure.
And yeah, the more this becomes normalized and all that, the more that this becomes established events that people speak highly of, talking about it was worth it to go there, the more you can start selling people that may have had questions about, am I going to go, and all that kind of stuff. Is it worth it to go? And eventually you're looking at a future where maybe it's not I mean there's solid players all around, but Casper was like, I'd say probably the easy favorite.
Oh yeah,
I know it was probably kept. I heard it was like kept pretty close.
Yeah, he won everything.
People scored in the hundreds. Yeah,
I tried to. I
want to finish this point also.
That made myself a fly on the wall, and it worked. But Danny was close. Nebula had a great run. Jax was pretty solid. He might have left a little bit on the table there in the finals, but he had a great week. There were a lot of players playing incredibly well, and I had it even eighth. And like I said, I played the best Mario Kart I think I played in 2.5 years, with 12 shocks. And if it wasn't for a couple last places, consistency matters in these big tournaments. It was a lot of fun.
I just wanted to say, it's like you get Casper, who's like a player that's been like a master level player in Lounge and stuff before. It's like you start getting more people with that kind of resume, and you're going to start having legitimately fierce competition that is only going to get better the more people go. What you were talking about, like in terms of like a finals room, is going to look like a semifinals room or a quarterfinals room the more people that you get going. So if you get these quarterfinals rooms that are already seen as passable finals, you're going to get not one crazy ending. You're going to have potentially a full weekend of streamable content. And if you want to make an impression on like bigger channels and all that kind of stuff, that's what we want to aim for. And at these cons and stuff, you're still going to have the people that like kind of like stop by and are like, whoa, this is really cool. Look at all these people that are into this. And that's where you want to be. But, I think Brat mentioned it, is like you want to, get people who are, seen as like the best in their group and all that. And you want them to kind of, go away being a little bit humbled, but also thinking like, okay, I can do this though. And then they may show up to the next one, and maybe they practice a little bit. Maybe they join the online community. Maybe they, make some friends online and all that kind of stuff. And you want that.
Yeah. I just want to say, when I showed up to the tournament, and I know Pidgey was like literally like giving somebody lessons, and I don't know who the player was, but all I remember is that player made it past round one. I don't know where they went beyond that, but I just remember there was this guy, red shirt, and Pidgey was just super down to earth, teaching him some basic tricks, enough to be dangerous, and it was a positive help for him. And everyone was super nice and friendly to all of the newer players as well.
Anyways, I guess with this said, don't want to keep you too much longer. Uh, let's talk really quickly, about like the commentary, like all of that, like what you think the future of the commentary is going to look like, because this is a little bit of a different beast compared to like your typical MKC cast. You're thinking like, there's going to be a lot of people on those casts that aren't exactly, like they aren't going to be they're not going to be able to just jump in and just immediately be used to this, because the first of all, the audience is different, and secondly, the players involved is different, and thirdly, you're not getting just one or two perspectives here, but you may have 12 perspectives and all of that. So what do you think is going to be, the future of the commentary at these events, the types of people that we're looking for, and how to make it exciting for people that are on the outside as opposed to just those that are in right now?
I might get a cameo coming up here pretty soon.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, no, it's a great question, and I think there's a lot of promise with the media side of it. I mean, naturally, like when it comes to some conventions, if you're a good pair, they're going to want you back next year. That's one thing. But I think in the general side of things, what's going to happen is you're going to want a combination of a mixture of individuals that kind of know the audience. So like Brat making her debut, definitely like loves conventions. We kind of had a very watered down opening to a degree, but like she definitely can appeal to one audience, right? And appeal to this convention type of a casual crowd. The SNS casters like myself, Bonnie, and Pidgey, we can get into some, generally advanced stuff, but also carry the stream, make it entertaining, and kind of go through the cast and the motion that production wants us to go through. So when it comes to MKC casting, it's a lot different. It's very analytical. And you got to be aware of when you can tie that in. So like when Pidgey and I and Vonnie do it, we're getting more deeper into that semifinals and in the finals. So what I would like to see, just kind of going to the overall answer to the question is you have a mixture of casters that are there for the hype, the entertainment, for being welcoming, opening everybody in, and kind of carrying the cast in a sense of the stream. And then you kind of pivot maybe as you kind of hook all the casual audience in down the road, semifinals, finals, to a more quasi, not only getting like a hype man per se, but also an analytical MKC-esque caster to kind of carry it home. That's what I envision. I think is going to work. It's still a lot different than what MKC does now, but I definitely think you can take the best elements of the MKC cast and then the kind of the more show entertainment type cast that you see in like the JP Givner tournament, SNS, merge the two, and then that's going to be kind of what you're looking for.
Got it. So I guess to wrap this up, the one final thing that I want to talk about with you before I let you go, when do you think the timetable is to potentially get like a tournament like an Exalt? Did you hear me there?
Yeah. I think I did. Sorry, I just.
So, well, let me elaborate for the people that don't know. It's like there's an MKW LAN a few years back called Exalt, and pretty much it was a tournament that was, ran by the, the players of the MKW community for the players of the MKW community. And when I say like a tournament like Exalt, I'm kind of thinking it's like, all right, we would have an event that is, catered directly towards MK players and all that, and that wouldn't necessarily mean that we would decline help. Matter of fact, it'd be the opposite. You would still want, your partners and the people and connections that you meet to want to support you on it. It's just like, I think that we do need something that would, kind of jumpstart, more people around the U.S. wanting to actually go out and travel to stuff. And I think the best way to do that would potentially be, an event that people feel like is meant for them to show up, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm not against that, because I think it would be good, and I think it really kind of comes down to the numbers, and you're seeing that with Exalt, you're seeing that, or you saw that with Embrace the Change, with New Leaf, and I know Germany's trying to get something going too. The pros and cons to it is you're going to have the freedom to run the event the way you want to. The con is that literally you're on the hook for everything. Comes to setup, it's going to be completely grassroots. It's going to kind of be a semi-scuffed in a sense. I mean, when I was at dinner with Casper last night, he showed me a video of one of the guys going to the venue or whatever with a suitcase of all of the Wiis. and like controllers, and it looked like something out of like a bank robbery movie. And honestly, like the liability there is just incredible. Like I even saw the same thing today. I was helping them.
I mean, I think it'd be fine to go to like a like a place that already has like the stuff
Yeah,
there,
so
like sponsor and all that.
that's
But
the
it's just
thing.
like
Yeah,
you want something that's for the community and that it doesn't feel like we're just something off on the side sometimes
exactly.
as well.
And but that's one of the things that I like about these conventions is like we're basically gonna be in the masters of our domain on Mario Kart, and we're 1/100th of what's going on at this convention. But that's the best part because not only can we be there with numbers, but we can also attract other players and show them how big the community is and all of that. So I'm personally for, hey, let's all work together. UGL is going to be providing the switches. They're going to be providing the setups. All we have to do is show up, maybe help run it, get a few volunteers, have a good time. And there's so much more we can even do with MomoCon. We can even set up a meet and greet panel. We could have some of the top players talking. We have so much wiggle room because we're also, we're a sponsor of the convention, and we're not even putting in any financial money into that besides our time. It's actually, we're kind of getting reimbursed for some of the stuff we're doing here, and we've been putting in a lot of hours of work, by the way, too. But
so I guess the next question naturally becomes like, how can we, sell people around the community to, go to an event like this where they feel like they are like that 1% thing on the side, that it's like not really a big thing, and it's like, sometimes I guess there's like an initial fear or worry that like you're just gonna show up just to, kind of like do like a side event for like an hour or two, and then like that's it and all that. Like, how do we, get past those fears? I think I kind of have my own answer, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
That's a great question. So first off, these are not side events anymore. These are 7-hour, 5 to 7 hour long tournaments, right? So I can virtually guarantee you that you're going to be there. And honestly, too, I don't even think, and this kind of comes to Ricky's point if you watch the JP Givner video, I think it's more about the social element first and the Mario Kart second. It sounds kind of weird to say it like that, but I think it's true. Like when I go, and I told Casper and Jax this, like I'm at the point now in the community where I'm borderline a little bit deaf or less sensitive to meeting new players because I meet new players all the time. And like it's crazy. Like I've met maybe close to around 100 US players right now. And I
mean, you want it to be like that too.
Yeah, and we want
like people are more open to it, and like
exactly.
It's not like a gigantic deal. It's like new buddy.
And we want players to be able to meet other players, but also too, we're there to have fun and play Mario Kart, right? And I think that's what's great about the convention because there's going to be downtime, there's going to be other things to do. And, we all had fun. We were all walking around and we were all trying different things. There's like pro wrestling thing. People were playing video games together. So it gives you much more to do, obviously, if you're there primarily for Mario Kart. Versus just a strictly Mario Kart tournament, it's likely going to be smaller. You're not going to get any casual players beyond the core group that's going to come. And that's what made this exciting. I mean, we had about... Like I think Jet said, probably like 8 to 9 MKC players, but when you factored in the LAN community and some regulars that came in and traveled, we had about 15 to 17 of the 96. And then we had so many other players wanting to play, wanting to learn. And that's honestly how you're going to grow the Mario Kart scene.
If you think about it, like that means that like 83% of the tournament was just people that were there that were like, oh, this is a thing.
Yeah, and they loved the game. Like, we had people dressed up as Princess Peach, all that, some of the YouTubers, even some of the Smash players wanted to get in on it. And like, kind of going back to, Vegas in its grassroots days, I mean, that's how the West Coast has a lot of, like, newer players now. It's just by, hey, come sign up, like, try this. And, like, that's what happened since, I guess, late 2019 up until now, is that's how the local scene there grew. And I can see it happening as well with New York and Boston and some of the others. In Ohio too, Rookie. Like, if there are some players there, I mean, it actually was the reverse for you. You have players there trying to pitch you to join MKC, actually. So, like,
Well, that was a local event.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just really cool. If there are new players coming in, you want to get them involved in the community and get them engaged. And you have access to so many people at these conventions that I think it's definitely more of like a positive than a negative to have the support of literally like all of these bigger name production groups and gaming groups on your side as you're running the Mario Kart tournament.
Got it. So I want to do a quick announcement, just a little bit, and just to kind of give the stream like a thing. I think that my computer's glitching out. Hold on. Okay, I think we're fine. So, we're not going. Sadly, we're not going to end up doing the conversation with Soldier today. Something came up for him that was out of his control, so the night conversation is going to be it. But anyway, back to this, and we may do that another time. But I guess the thing I want to ask, maybe to close it all, is just what's the next big thing, Knight? Like, what's the next move, and how's it going to be better than this one as well?
Well, the thing is you got to understand that MomoCon's like a 20,000 person convention, and you got to know what it is. I honestly don't know how this DC convention's looking like. I mean, I trust that it's in good hands with Danny. I mean, it's going to be on Smash GG. There will be limited.
So, are you going to like everything then? I'm assuming.
I will know once things are confirmed what's going on or what my role is or what's going to happen to me. I don't know, but all I know is that on USMK we're going to be talking about how we're going to be growing the team. We're going to have some calls with obviously MKC2 about the next steps and the direction going forward and how we're going to analyze that. So there's a lot going on, but I think on a macro level, so the DC convention, I just saw that, Sal, it's Otakon. It's going to be, I believe, in mid to late July, and there's likely going to be a stream and at least one Mario Kart tournament. The other thing you got to keep in mind too is that for MomoCon, it is a 4-day convention. So what we kind of did with the 2 tournaments, the way they were set up, it was based off of a 4-day run. So when we're on like a 3-day convention run, we might only have one tournament. It really depends on what the deal is. So there's a lot more to come on tournaments. There's a lot more to come on commentary. We're gonna have some roles kind of open up, and we're definitely gonna be talking with MKC about how we can integrate further and get things going for the future too. So there's a lot more to come, and I'm really hoping we can make some of these MomoCon announcements once they get some of these photo shoots and all this stuff coming. But down the road though, expect some bigger tournaments. There's nothing finalized yet, but let me just say this as a little teaser. There is a realistic chance in 2 to 3 years that France and Japan might want to fly here. Let's just put it that way. To play with us. Yeah, that's real.
That would be crazy, dude.
Some more to come.
All right, so sounding exciting. I guess what are your goals for the next big thing? Do you think it's reasonable to have a bigger crowd next time now that we have something under our belt, or was MomoCon like kind of like the perfect situation in the end?
Yeah, it's tough to compare conventions because MomoCon's 4 days had a bigger crowd, one of the big top 10 conventions like size-wise in the US. So when we're going to Otakon, it's going to be smaller, but I'm actually familiar with that convention. Unironically, I used to be a viral podcaster in college, so I actually went to that convention center. I can tell you, flying into Reagan is very easy. You literally can take the train and you'll be at the convention. It's very easy to get to. Even if you're on the East Coast, you can take the Amtrak down to DC if you're up for it. So it's still not a really bad venue. It's really like region neutral. Ohio can get there, Northeast can get there. So there is some options there, but honestly, there's going to be a lot of potential down the road. And what I want to do is figure out what's going to happen casting wise. Hope Danny's all squared away with his new job and how we can help him run these tournaments, because we can't all be everywhere. Figure out where we're needed, where we're going to be getting support from, some of the BG guys. And also just really figure out what these next big tournaments are that we want to push. We're going to be pushing these tournaments regardless because they have like a literal schedule. But we obviously know that not everyone can go to every event. But, let's try to get some people out to Orlando at the end of the year. It's a great place. And then also, too, if we can get a Northeast tournament this year, that's our one chance, guys, to really make something big happen, for sure.
There's a lot of people in the Northeast. The Northeast, I think, it's not really a controversial opinion anymore. Got a lot of, the finest players in the U.S. in that general area between New York, Boston. Yeah.
So that's the chance. I mean, I was making the joke when, we always had these debates back in the day of, oh, it's Vegas. Now we're getting Ohio and Boston and, New Rochelle and Brooklyn. But my go-to is like, how are we going to get to the Javits Center, right? And all I can say is that right now, it could be a reality. We got to wait and see.
All right. So, is there any closing comments you want to make, Knight, or?
No,
I think we covered just about everything for now.
I'm very like calm in the moment, but it's still kind of hitting me now. I was literally like I had to run over here. I was like watching the set with Dee, and I was hanging out with EE, and I mean Gimmer was.
It's like, yeah, this is real life.
Like we're making moves, guys, and everyone's super excited. They gave all of us a lot of attention this week, more attention than Smash, honestly, especially from their.
And you all know what this means. This is an opportunity. If you haven't got out to it yet, and it's something that's easily, accessible to you, we need you guys. We need you guys, come out, whether that's supporting on Twitch or like, following the channels and all of that, or even, attending and being a good presence and all of that. We have something good going here, and if we're going to, really take full advantage of it, it's something that the community needs to embrace it. Like, this is no longer just like, like fantasy or, like a dream that could happen. Like, this is something that's happening, and if we're going to, speed it up further and really take full advantage of it and, kind of explode on the scene and maybe, continue growing exponentially with a different crowd than expected before, I mean, this is the route. New MKC, it's a project this whole year and all of that, and this is just going to be one additional factor to it. So if you're interested at all, even if you're, like maybe you're younger, you can't get out yet, or maybe you're shy and that kind of stuff, sometimes like seeing the news, liking, retweeting, or, just spectating and all that can go a long way.
Rookie is 100% right. I just want to echo what he said. And honestly, like even the least thing you could do besides the social media gassing and liking or retweeting is just, even if you're like doing something else, just open up a tab, put Twitch on mute and just leave the stream on. I don't even care if you're watching it. Just having that support, having those numbers to prove that we're growing is
tricking the algorithm.
Yeah, extremely helpful too. Even if you don't want to hear whoever's voice is on the cast, but we're gonna definitely try and grow that side. We're gonna kind of take it slow. We need to see what's gonna be coming up this year, and honestly too, because we're in the big leagues now, guys. If you do want to get involved, there might be opportunities. The other thing is that if you're kind of TOing or casting, you generally can't compete in tournaments. There might be a little bit of a break there with the TOing, but there's some complications there. So, but casting definitely not. But it's exciting because we're there, and I can honestly see a future in 3 to 5 years where we're gonna have Tucson flying here. That is a possibility. That isn't something I could be confident in saying, like literally a month ago. But we are at
MK Worlds 2026 at New York. Yes.
Yeah, we're at a point.
The location of the year
where we could potentially get budgets. We could fly people in that we could justify. We have a lot of flexibility now. We're in the big leagues, and there's a lot of good stuff to come. And I wish I could tell you more, but things have to be confirmed first.
All right. Well, Knight, thanks for joining me today. I think that's probably all we're gonna get through, but it's exciting. I think a lot of people are starting to kind of wake up to the fact that this is something that can happen. I mean, if you all want the proof, ask Casper, who's walking home with about $1,000 this week, right?
$1,300 to $1,400. So
yeah, that's real. That's something that you can ask somebody that's not affiliated with staff teams and stuff. Did this actually happen? And it's like, yeah, it actually happened.
I'm doing the math right now. So Jackson Casper won just shy of $1,100. That was just for first, by the way. And then,
see, we're not going to jinx it yet.
And then Casper,
hopefully, I mean, they're focused on Smash. Let's be real here, right? So
no, I'm talking.
We'll see what happens.
Casper. Yeah, this is what
no, I'm talking about Zeeb in the chat right now.
55.
Yeah, talking about Nintendo and them wanting to interfere at some point, but we'll see. I think the good news on that is that pretty much everything that they've done, and like they're going to probably get in the way at some point or another if we continue to grow and all of that. I know they've ran some Splatoon tournaments that have had some controversies. Soldiers told me all about that. But I think the good news is that most of, like Nintendo's relationships with, like their esports community surrounding their games, most of them have already kind of played out, I want to say, with Smash. And hey, we'll see. At least as like, a current game in MK8D. I know it's been 5 years, but apparently they're still making content for the game. in the form of the booster pass. It's still very modern. We aren't running custom servers at the moment. I know there may be some concerns for the MKWe players if we get into that territory in the future, but I think there's much more positives to look forward to as opposed to, like any potential like worries that we should be having right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, we got a lot of work to do once we get back home. I think all of us are still here until Monday. The con's ending in an hour, but yeah, it's been crazy, and we're gonna have a lot more tournaments coming up. We still have all the local tournaments, so definitely go out, support Ohio and New York and Boston and Vegas. Vegas, we do have Ninja coming in
maybe
next
finding
week.
more soon too.
Yep, we have a lot of the X-Hot
Some word about people. California, maybe.
California. Oh, Fanime Con's happening now, so I think a few of my clan mates, BM, they might be out there. And I think, Bay Area, you're on notice too. I mean, there's a lot of you out there as well. I know Geronimo's moving out there. He'll definitely be able to help. So I definitely want to look at Bay Area and Texas. Continue to grow Vegas and Ohio. I think those are great areas. But my top 3 right now would be New York. And this is in no order, by the way. New York, Austin, Houston, and Orlando. I think those are the top 3 we need to focus on, besides the ones that are kind of already popping off. And then I put San Fran and Bay Area there next.
All right, so with that said, I think that we're going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for, kind of hopping in, listening to our discussion. Whether this is, live or if you're watching on YouTube, which will surely be happening and all of that. So, again, shouts tonight. Thanks for dropping in, sharing your experience with us.
No problem.
I'm excited to, kind of get into it myself later in the year, hopefully. So, I think that's it. Let's raid somebody. If there's any final comments you got, let me know, Knight, but...
All good.
Alright, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping in and watching, and a lot of excitement in the future. So, we'll talk to you all next time, and have a good one.